Welcome everyone to Ask Me About Public Speaking. This is your host, Mohamed Isa. I'm the founder and chief accelerator of Axelerate Academy, and this is our logo over here. So our session today is the first session that I'll be hosting in 2021. I'm planning to host a total of 12 sessions discussing different topics with the attendees. And hopefully with time, we will have more attendees attending for the maximum benefit. These sessions will be recorded and they will be posted on my YouTube channel as a community outreach program. So if you have any question about public speaking, just either you can unmute and tell me the question, or you can write it in the chat. I already received 2 questions from Mishkat, and one of them is how to handle public speaking when you're not in the mood of speaking. How to handle public speaking when you're not in the mood to speak. This is a very interesting question, and there are 2 elements to it. One is the skill of speaking. You need to be good in speaking. You need to be proficient in speaking, and that comes with training. You cannot learn public speaking by reading a book. If you want to learn public speaking, you need to speak. That's it. There's no escape. If you want to be good at public speaking, you need to speak as often as you can, and that's one thing. Now, the second thing about the mood. If you're not in the mood of speaking, but you have good public speaking skills and good knowledge of the topic you're speaking about, even if you're not in a mood to speak, your skill, your knowledge of the subject will take you through the speech. Many times that people may have personal incidents, or maybe they have an accident on the road, and they arrive at a conference and they are already rattled by the accident. But mostly, if they are professional speakers, you will never know about them. Many times I've seen speakers who have been sick, who had issues, and who didn't sleep. They had a jet lag, but because of their professionalism, because of their proficiency in public speaking, that proficiency takes them throughout the speech. And that's one thing you can do. So maybe, yes, we cannot control our mood at certain times, but if we develop a very high level of public speaking skills, that should be enough to take us through speaking. Okay, so that was a question from Mishkat. Let's see if we have other questions.
Mohammed, this is Ahmed here.
Yes.
Are there any like recommended common rituals or preparations or whatever for public speaking, or it is different from someone to another?
All right. So I like to think of speaking as a process, and there are rituals. 2 nights ago, I appeared on a podcast recording, and when we finished, I asked the production manager, how was my voice? Was it okay, or was it low? Or he said, your voice was fantastic. And then I shared with him the secret. Whenever I have a speech, I do some vocal exercises in either at my home or my office or while I was driving. So that's part of my ritual to exercise my vocal cords before I speak. Now, I have prepared a checklist that I can share with you, and maybe later on I can share it with you. And
excellent. So you don't eat this halawa. I read some time ago that some singers they eat halawa tahiniya or something. I don't know how to translate it.
No. I think this is a myth. I think this is a myth because even some people will tell you to drink hot water before you speak. Let me tell you a scientific fact. When you drink hot water, the water doesn't touch your vocal cords. So it's not touched. So the only way to have a good, not a dry throat is to drink water the night before. You drink ample water, enough water the night before, because it takes time for your cords to be lubricated internally.
Okay.
So if you drink, this is not a car machine. The oil lubricates the machine. Okay, this is a human being. It's a different process. So eating menthol or other candies will not help. So you need to take care, basically, of your voice. And also, there are so many things like breathing exercises to help you speak loudly and clearly. Okay, so if I were to give you a speaking checklist, very simple. I have this on a business card that I prepared 6 years ago.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I will share it later on with you all. So start with a story. This is the easiest and the most effective way to start a speech. Start with a story. And the story flows because you know the story. And that helps you in connecting with the audience. Personalize the content. This is simple. If I were talking to engineers, I'll try to pick up some vocabulary from their industry and be like them. But if I were speaking to high school students, I will have a different vocabulary set. Excite and entertain. People are having so many things going on their life. So if you're a speaker, try to entertain a little bit. Yeah. Just a smiling helps. All right. Activate their senses. This is again going back to the story. If you tell a story, if you narrate a story, you want people to be transported in time and into the location of what happened. So if you were with me last Thursday, I was walking in the old souk in Muharraq. We entered into a traditional sweet shop. The smell, the aroma of the halwa was everywhere. That's how you activate. So you make people imagine the situation you were in. Keep them engaged. Maybe in the middle of the session, I will throw out a quiz or a question at those attending so that we are engaged. Ignite their imagination. Just using the word imagine make people wander away in their thoughts. All right, this is something, a common mistake that I see with the speakers. Never close with the Q&A. Usually what I do is I have the speech, then I'll have a Q&A session, and then I will have a concluding segment. And the reason is very simple. Let's say you're ending your speech with the Q&A session, and at the end of the Q&A session, you receive a very lousy question. So this is what people remember. You answered a lousy question. All right? G, give them actionable ideas. Give them actionable ideas so that there's no point of just speaking and speaking and speaking without giving something to the audience, something that they actually can do. All right? So let's go to Iman and see what kind of question she has written.
Well, thanks so much for such a description for the halwa. I start to smell the Arabic halwa and I really feel hungry now. Good. My question is, I'm trainer, but I'm not a public speaker, and I would like to know how to be certified public speaker. What is the roadmap? And because I would like to attract new customers to hire me, and I don't know what is the roadmap or what is your advice, professional advice as a public speaker. And as you know, I'm a different here in Europe. You can understand because I'm headscarved. I would like to be a very powerful public speaker from, let me say, introductory or something like this.
Excellent. As someone who wants to break into the public speaking industry. You need to have the basics. You need to figure out what kind of topics you want to speak about. I have my own topics. I have 8 topics that I can speak about. Of course, I can speak more than that, but I would like to just focus on 8 topics that I can easily speak about. You know, when you're in public speaking, you are tempted to get many engagements so that you spread, you get more fees, but that's a formula for disaster. So first of all, you need to decide what kind of topics you want to speak about. Second, you need to develop your public speaking skills. Third, you need to become marketing savvy. When I say marketing savvy, you need to have your platform, you need to have your website, you need to have your social media accounts, and you need to have videos. You need to have videos. In December 2015, I met a speaking agent in Munich, in Germany. And she told me, Mohammed, I can promote you easily in Europe. The only thing, get me some videos. So as a speaker, you need to speak. People need to see you speaking so that they judge whether they can work with you or not. So these are a few suggestions that I have for you. And as a bonus for all of the attendees, I'll be sharing a PDF. It's called the ABC of Speaking. And then there is another PDF, the LinkedIn 33. Basically, it's a PDF file that has articles that I posted on LinkedIn, and they are on various topics. And there is one article on how to promote yourself as a credible speaker. So you will get more information in that article. Thank you, Imam.
Thanks so much, Mohammed. Thank you. I hope that you will visit Germany and I will meet you one day, and we can maybe, I will have the honor to share speaking with you.
Hopefully.
Same safe.
Inshallah. Okay, let's see if we have more questions from you. Let me answer the second question from Mishkat. Mishkat was very proactive. She sent me her questions through an email. Now, this is not specifically a question on public speaking. This is more of conversation. And the question was how to get the ability to speak about so many topics. How to get the ability to speak about so many topics. Let's say you're in a conference, there's a break, and you want to network with other people, and you want to mesh in their topics that they are speaking about. Okay, let me give you an example. In Bahrain and in the Gulf in general, we have a large Indian population. And one of the topics Indians love is what? Can you guess? Can you write it in the chat? What is one topic that Indians love and admire? What comes to your mind? I'm waiting for an answer. Software? No, not software. Something else. Okay, let me give you a hint. Sport. Spicy food. I love spicy food as well. Cricket. Yes. So if you bring a cricket to a conversation with Indians, that's it. You made it. So I always listen to the BBC World Service in radio, and you know BBC caters for the entire news of the world. So I always hear the famous cricketers' names, and if you're speaking with an Indian and you throw the name Sachin Tendulkar, that's it. You become part of the team. So one way to be able to listen or talk to people on different topics in conversations, I'm not speaking about giving speeches, is to listen to the radio, to read widely, and that's the secret. For example, a few months ago, I was working as a consultant for a company, and there were some Indians in the company. And the moment, one day I entered an office of one of the executives, and I saw a golf ball. And I asked him, from where you got this? Coincidentally, he said, this is from Muscat. I played golf in Muscat. And then I shared with him my experience playing golf in Muscat, of course, with the Hull alumni. And that made our relationship go higher because we share a common thing. So that helps. All right. Do we have one more question? Still have some time. Let's make the best use of this session.
Yes, Mohammed, if you allow me, I have
Yes.
very important questions. For example, I'm very interested because of my work in quality and project management and business analytics and statistics. What are the major trending, let me say, topics internationally in the public speaking?
That's very tough to answer. That's very tough because each region will have something different. Now in Bahrain, for example, if I can reflect on what's happening on Bahrain.
Corona.
Not Corona. People are talking about fintech, financial technologies, because this is the trend. This is what's happening. They are talking about startup businesses. This is what's happening in the country. So each country, each environment will have different elements to speak about. And speaking of Corona, because of Corona, many companies and many professionals are now thinking of digital transformation. So you need to see what's happening. You need to see what's happening. And one of the best ways to do this is to go to Google and see what are the most searched words. And you can see what people are talking about. The same goes with the Twitter, for example. You can see the hashtags of trending on Twitter, and that will give you an idea on what people are speaking about. But again, as a public speaker, I shouldn't be speaking about a topic because everyone's talking about it. And sometimes we make fun about it. A few weeks ago, we had a session on startups, and I had a Bahraini expert. His name is Ayman Al-Tajir. And I remember what he said in our WhatsApp group long time ago. If you want to be cool in the speaking industry, just speak about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and fintech. And people will think you're a genius. This is not the way to do it. You need to speak about topics that you're familiar with, you're good at, and you know something about them, of course.
I believe I have to let me say, I agree with you that digital transformation and blockchain and data analytics and so are the very, let me say, raising points worldwide. And I should, it's not something like the demand. I have to connect the demand with my passion.
Of course,
this is
of course, absolutely. And this is going back to the question of Mishkat when she said, you're about to speak, but you're not in a good. If you have a passion about the topic, you can just nail it because the passion will carry you. Sometimes the skill you have will carry you. Sometimes the passion will carry you. But when the day you combine both the skill and the passion, that's it. You'll be the speaking star of the day in that conference or in that event.
Okay, Mohammed, I will use you, and I will use your. Of course, you are a very powerful person. I will use this chance. I have another question. If I success, for example, to build a very effective digital platform and make videos and so on, what are the port that you advise me to go in? What are the top secrets or tricks to go and to market myself through? For example, specific person or specific influencer, because I think I need that.
Well, first of all, we need to realize it takes time to build a profile. It doesn't happen overnight, and there is a phrase that they say, overnight always seems an overnight success, but in reality, it takes 10 or 20 years to achieve that. So.
I would be very old, Mohammed, when I
there is no old. I don't believe in age. I believe we should go on and on and on and on and on. I don't believe in retirement, and so again, you need to be very strategic about the content you produce. You need to have articles. You need to have podcasts. You need to have videos. Maybe you start something like this, a series of online events, and put them on your YouTube. So you need to produce your own content, and plus you need to appear in podcasts, you need to appear on interviews, on TV, on radio. You need to be everywhere, basically, so that people come to know about you. And that's one of the reasons that I'm publishing books. You see the books behind me. That they get me PR, they get me public relation opportunities. In magazines, newspapers are hungry for PR. Tell them you have a book, and everyone will come and invite you for an interview. So it takes a lot of time, as I said. It takes a lot of time. You cannot do it. You know, when I left my career as a chief financial officer, I was already building this profile for many years, being a speaker. So it takes time. It takes time. Okay, let's have another question. Let's see if we have a question from another attendee. Do we have any questions from Ethiopia?
One.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yes, Ahmed.
Yes, one question. I see the book behind you that shows your photograph with the late
Larry King. Yes.
Yes. So, any memories about that event, that man?
Well, you know, the memory is very sad because we were supposed to meet in September 2017. And I had an American friend who wanted to show me around in Los Angeles. And this 1 hour trip became four hours, and I missed meeting Larry King. And unfortunately, this man, Brian, he died recently of corona. So it's very sad, unfortunately. Both of them passed away this past year. But, you know, the memory remains. And there is one important lesson we need to learn from Larry King. Questions are more important than answers. That's his message. Questions are more important than answers, because if you don't ask the right question, you'll never get the right answer. Do we have any more questions?
One, if you allow me.
Of course, go ahead. I'm here to serve you.
Yes. So, have you yet crafted any acronym for Axelerate?
Yes.
You mentioned something about creating your own, like material, building your own. Let's say.
Yes.
So, formerly, I remember your book, that is Chai Karak.
Yes. Yes.
It was very useful, straightforward, informative, and like it gives you a summary, very useful summary. So, have you done something like that for Axelerate?
Yes, Axelerate Academy became an acronym for 16 success principles. And very soon I'll be printing sheets that I can distribute for people to post on their offices to remind them of these success principles. It came out very nicely, and also I'm producing short videos explaining these success principles. So maybe I should go back to Iman and demonstrate to her with this example on how can you create content, okay? Now, Iman, what I did, Axelerate Academy, I used it as an acronym. So Axelerate, A-X-E-L-E-R-A-T-E. Each letter represents a success principle. So this one, I created a graphical videos having pictures and the principles. That was one type of content that I created. 2, I created a PDF that had 17 or 18 pages showing the principles plus pictures. Now I have a sheet that I can give away that has 16 pictures with the 16 principles. I'm creating also the videos, 16 videos, speaking about the success principles. So for anything you do, reposition the content you make. Now, the 16 success principles, I could write 1,000 words about each principle, and I end up with a 16,000 words document speaking about these success principles, and that can become a small book. So the sky is the limit. Once you come up with something, you can always reposition it for a different medium. That's what you do. I hope I tackled your question, Ahmed, and gave more value to Iman as well.
Thanks, Mohammed.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Mohamed Patel.
Is this ready or it is work in progress?
You know, man, it is ready and I can share it with you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I will share it in the chat. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
As I told you, I'm here for you guys. Anything you do, anything you need, I'm here. So let's see. Let me just drop this so that we don't forget it. And you can always go to my my Instagram as well, Axelerate Academy, where I share different you know, it's very strange. I'm not finding the file, but I'll look for it and share it before we end the session. No worries. Mohamed Patel, thank you for attending. Welcome. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will be glad to address them.
No problem. Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Not at all. Not at all.
So this sort of session was to do with improving in public speaking. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So my sort of question is, in sort of my role, it's not something I have to do very often, public speaking, but there are opportunities to do it. So how would you say the best way for somebody to sort of improve those skills when you're not using them sort of on a daily or frequent basis?
Well, one easy way to do this is to join a Toastmaster Club, where you study public speaking in a friendly environment. That's one. Two, you can have a speech coach, a coach that will only focus on imparting knowledge and experience on the topic of public speaking. Three, watch good speeches. There is a good website called AmericanRhetoric.com. AmericanRhetoric.com. They have the top 100 speeches in the US history. Most of them are written, and they have videos, and they have MP3s that you can download and listen to. So these are 3 quick tips to help you improve your speaking skills. Let me say something. You said that you don't use this skill very often. But if you start using it more often, you'll become more noticeable in your work environment. And you'll be getting more chances. And you know, when people see you that you can speak, you get more opportunities, even promotional opportunities at your company as well. And people remember good speakers. People remember good speakers. So this is something you cannot afford not to develop. This is something that you need to focus on, regardless of your profession. And I always use this example. Let's say you're the top-notch scientist. You have brilliant ideas, you have brilliant innovations, but you cannot communicate them. If you cannot communicate them, it's like having no good ideas at all. I hope that helped.
Oh, thank you very much. It was good help. For me personally, one more question. It was so I find that I'm much more confident and comfortable speaking in smaller group settings or one-to-one. But whenever sort of that amplifies to maybe let's say 50, 100, or a couple hundred people, and especially if I'm standing in front of an audience, etc. Even if I've prepared, I've practiced, I just feel a sort of panic, you know, even if I've rehearsed it. I've learned lots of tips, you know, sometimes if you know your first few lines, you know them, and then in the rest of the flow and things like this, it's just, I can't help but panic. It's like things just, you know, my thoughts are just racing in my mind, and it's just, it becomes very difficult. So I've practiced in that sense a few times presenting, but I just can't help but feel the dread of doing it, you know, like, you know, you're just sweating, whatever, and you're just happy to get it over and done with. So it's just like, even though I practice, it's just something that's taken years and years, and that's where I'm at.
Well, that's normal, and let me give you some positive side. The positive of being nervous. It shows that you care. You care about the subject. You care about the audience. Yeah, and that's a good sign. All right. Now, I wouldn't give you this advice where many people say just look over the top of the people attending the event. Don't do that, because people know, people feel it when you're not looking at their eyes. I would always say, don't think about the number. Look at some friendly faces in the audience. Gaze at them, maintain eye contact with them, and just don't worry about the number. Just try to make it feel like you're talking to a smaller group. You don't have to worry about the numbers. You know, I have the opposite side. I enjoy speaking to large numbers because the laughter becomes bigger. I like to make people laugh, and when they laugh and the audience is large, the laughter is bigger. So that's normal. That's normal. Sometimes, even if you know the subject, you sweat, and that's good. That's good. It shows that you care and you want to give a good message to the audience. I know someone, a friend of mine. He's a British. His name is Steve. This guy, he sweats. You can see it in his shirt. You can see it on his forehead, and he's bald, just like me. So he sweats, but he's not sweating because he's afraid of the speaking, because he's passionate, and even if the temperature is very low in the room, he will just sweat. This is his energy coming out. So maybe that's what you have. I don't know, maybe.
No, that's a very good advice, and I'll try and keep it in mind. It's also very hard to sort of imagine a smaller group when you can just see all the people in front of you. It's hard to sort of imagine it as small when you see so much. But just as one more question,
let me hold that question for a minute.
Sure,
you know, one of the tricks that you can do is to arrive early and meet the maximum number of people of the audience, because that way you are breaking the fear barrier, because you met most of them.
Indeed, I think this is very useful, Mohammed.
Yeah.
Is this your own or something that you read about?
I like to arrive early in the events, and that's what I found very helpful. You just mingle with people, have a laugh, have a conversation, drink coffee, something, do something together. So you build rapport with them. All right. Okay,
Right.
Mohammed. Ahmed, let me just have Mohammed ask his last question, and then I'll come back to you. All right?
Sure.
Yes, Mohammed. You were having another question?
Yes. So the final question was, so if you mentioned you like making the audience laugh and and these sort of things, and you like seeing the reaction from the audience to show that they've been receptive, but from your experience, have you ever been in a situation where you're doing a public speaking engagement and the audience are not as receptive? Maybe not necessarily even to your jokes, but even to your
you made me laugh, man. You made me laugh. One time I had a very funny speech, and I felt very funny at the end of the speech because they didn't laugh a single time. And that happens. That's normal. That's normal. You know, sometimes people don't get it, and that's fine. I'll tell you one secret about becoming a humorous speaker. Humor is all about derailing the audience. You take them in one direction and suddenly you go in a different direction. This is what they call the punchline. So if you have a punchline in your speech, and please, when you have something funny, don't tell the audience, okay, there's this joke. You never say that, because when you say that, the audience is more alert. You want to trick the audience, so you never tell them that there is a laugh coming on the way. Just go and take them through a story, and this is the best way you can make the audience laugh, is to tell a story and you surprise them with the punchline. If they don't laugh, you just move on, because no one knows they were supposed to laugh. So if they don't laugh, you don't panic. You just move on, finish. Now, if they laugh, don't stop them, let them laugh. In 2008, I had a speech, and I pulled a punchline, and there were around 200 people in the audience, and they laughed for 14 seconds. And as they laughed, I was saying to myself, yes, laugh, have fun. Because once you make them have fun, anything you say, they will love later on. So this is the trick. Never say, I will tell you a joke. You just take them with you in the flow and suddenly change direction, and that's the punchline. If they laugh, fantastic. If they don't laugh, just move on. No one knows except you and God.
Thank you.
Ahmed, please go ahead.
Yes, Muhammad, there is a little story and there is a question after that.
Yeah, sure.
About the level of preparation for a speech, and how useful is that asking someone else, like someone working for you, to prepare it, doing like a few rehearsals, something like that. I remember a story.
Yeah.
Or something happened like in one of the companies here. I attended it was like a ceremony, something related to appreciation, something like that. One of the companies that my team helped, that I represented, I was part of the team. So they asked us to come for appreciation. There were big preparations, but what happened is that neither the screen was ready. There were a lot of IT issues. The microphone was down. A lot of things were not well prepared. So this gentleman, the speaker, started a few times. Then the sound was coming, and it was cut several times. The screen was not working, and the audience was something like nearly 100 people. What happened? That gentleman, he pulled the what they call the board.
Yeah.
He was talking about part of that, or big part of that, was about KPIs. What was the company performance last year? What was the performance this year? And this gentleman started making the graphs himself. He memorized a lot of figures, and he was talking without this microphone, nothing. So it's just a chart he drew himself. So at the end, everybody was standing on their feet, clapping for him, and he was promoted after that. So he moved from affiliate level to corporate level at like a higher position, much higher.
Yes. Yeah.
So have you came across something like that when the audience or whatever there is not ready enough? What to do?
Of course. I was holding myself from laughing, because I encountered many situations like this, and there is an English term, Murphy's law. Murphy's law. If anything can go wrong, it will. Yeah. So these are common things. I would like to address two things in your story and the question. One is it better to prepare your speech yourself or have someone else prepare it? It really depends on your personality and how good is the other person. In 2015, I was attending a Speech Writers Association conference in Washington, D.C. And one of the speakers was the speechwriter of Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. And she had her own speechwriter. Bill Clinton had his own speechwriter. But Clinton's speechwriter was on vacation, so Clinton pulled the speechwriter of Hillary to ask her to help him in the speech. And she prepared a speech. She did her research. She saw what kind of speeches he gives. And she prepared a speech, and she gave him the printout of the speech, and he was just flipping through the papers very quickly, and he was just canceling the papers, canceling the entire papers. And suddenly he underlined a sentence and said, "This is it." And that was, "Is the economy stupid?" He was looking for a tagline to attack his opponent. She was scared because he was scrapping the entire speech. So you need to know the speaker. You need to trust the speechwriter. You need to trust your team who are preparing the speech or presentation for you. For example, I will never use an image that I can find on Google. Never. Because at one stage, I saw in one conference, 3 speakers have the same image on their slides, and that's a disaster. That means you're just part of the pack. You're not unique. You're not standing out because you're using Google Images, and not any Google image. The image that comes first on the search. They even didn't go the page 2, page 3, or page 5. I have my own systems. I pay money for these images that I use, and I'm okay with that because I don't want to use something from the internet. So that was the first part. Whether you prepare your speech yourself or have someone else. I'm very tough. Nibal, you can't hear me? Does everyone hear me? Can you say something in the chat if you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, yes.
Okay. Nibal, maybe it's your device or something. All right, so let me go back to the other side of your story, being prepared for the things that could go wrong. Imagine this now. Imagine this. I was giving a speech. It was a public speaking workshops to the Ministry of Social Development in Bahrain, and they were held on a weekly basis. And they were held in one of the social centers in Isa town. And one day, I always go very early to make sure everything is working. But sometimes, even if you go very early, this early arrival will not help. So we came to the hall, and we were surprised. There was a big steel structure. And out of this steel structure, there were big dummies of Pink Panther, Woody the Woodpecker, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, big ones. And that was the stage where we were supposed to speak. So we had to rescue the situation and go to another room. So these things happen. You need to be prepared. You need to be confident. I admire the gentleman you spoke about. He just took it upon himself. He used the charts, whatever was available. And I had one situation where I had the projection screen. It did not work. And my speech was for 90 minutes. And when they managed to make it work, I was already halfway through my speech. So they said, "Do you want to use it?" I said, "No, let's continue. We're having fun." So sometimes good things come out of bad things, just like the promotion your colleague got in your situation. So that's again going back to Brother Mohammed Patel. That's what I said. If you're a good speaker in any corporate setting, you'll always stand out and you'll have better opportunities to be promoted, to get pay increments, to appear in conferences. And again, if you appear in conferences, you get more opportunities as well, because this is like a PR opportunity. Let me have a look at the chat and see if there are any questions. No questions in the chat. Okay. Maybe I should take a look at the file that I wanted to share with you.
Mohammed, I have a question, but when you have a time, because
Yeah, let me just try to find this file. I want to send it to all of you before.
Just can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Whenever I make the speech, whenever I deliver the speech, I have full of confidence, but I memorize my speech word by word. So in the middle of my speech, I will lose. So how can I improve that one?
Oh, you brought a very nice topic. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a very nice topic that you brought.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, let me just, I'm trying to find this folder. You know, I know I have it, but I cannot see it. This is very strange. This is very strange. Okay. At least let me send you the LinkedIn file. This is the LinkedIn file. It's in the chat. It has links to 33 articles that I published on LinkedIn. Now, let's go back to Bethlehem question. She said, you prepared so well, you memorized your speech word for word, and suddenly you, in the middle, you forget what you were about to say, and that's it, you blanked out. So one, I don't advise that you memorize your speech word for word. That's very risky. I'll tell you why. Because you may appear as mechanical. You're not natural when you speak. Now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm very natural. This is me. Whether I'm speaking to a smaller group or a larger group, this is me. I laugh, I move my hands, I move my body from one location to another naturally. In 2010, I was with someone who was a speaker in a conference, and that person, he had a plan to where to stand and how to stand and what to do and what to say in different locations on the stage. I will never do that because that's too much. You will not appear natural with the audience. Likewise, if you memorize your speech word for word, you may not be natural. Now, let's address the issue of forgetting things. I coach people about having anchors in their speeches. An anchor could be a story, a simple story. A story is an anchor. So if, let's say I want to make 3 points. So I will say 3 stories. And again, like I said before, stories are easy because you were there, you know what happened, and then you can link the point you want to make to the story. Okay? Now, if you're speaking from an elevated stage, and by saying an elevated stage, you are here, the audience is here. So the audience cannot see the stage. If you arrive early, you can print A4 sheets and scatter them on the stage. Not many, few. Let's say you have 3 stories. You display the stories on the stage. The audience don't see the documents. You only see the documents. So you just take a peek and you remember the story and you move on with your speech. How about that? This is cheating, but you can cheat in public speaking. I hope that helped, Bethlehem.
Yes, just have to practice on your way.
Yes, yes, yes.
Simple story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just stories are fantastic. Stories
Yeah, I will do
are
that.
fantastic. They
Yeah.
are
Even if
amazing.
if I didn't make it word by word, I can use my own English. So it helps me, I hope.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Do we have any other questions?
I have a question, Mohammed, if you have a time and there is another participants need to ask, because I asked a lot.
That's all right. Do we have any other questions before I take the question from Iman?
No.
No? Okay, Iman, go ahead.
So I'm very lucky. It's very nice, Mohammed, to ask an expert like you. I believe that public speaker shall have the, let me say, a lot of skills like charisma and self-confidence and so on. What makes me thinking seriously to convert to public speaker as a career, a lot of people advise me to do. I would like to ask you how to be a certified public speaker, because I believe that if I have such certifications, I will be I will be more visible to the customers. I don't know if my thought is correct or not. And if I would like to knock some doors, like for example, as you have mentioned, that a lady from München told you that that she can present you in the conference or something like that. What are the doors you advise me to knock to present myself if I make some videos and digital platform and so on? These are
okay. Now this brings a dilemma over here. You know, because as a speaker, yes, qualifications may show your credibility, but the biggest credibility you get is when you go on a stage and speak very, very well. So as I said, it takes time. You need to speak as much as you can. I have a friend who lives in Munich as well. He's a Bahraini gentleman, and he likes giving humorous speeches. That's why he started speaking at comedy clubs in Munich. And ultimately, he participated in a national competition for comedy, and he was among the top 5 in Germany. The reason he did it, not to be famous, not to get money, he did it because he wanted to perfect his skills, humorous skills. So there is no alternative than a stage time where you speak on stage and practice what you have. And second thing, in terms of qualifications, there are 2 qualifications that come to my mind. One is the Certified Speaking Professional. This is from the National Speakers Association in the US. It takes hard work to get it. That's one. The other one is the Accredited Speaker in Toastmaster International. Again, this is a tough one. And very few people have these 2 qualifications. And usually they get it by default because they are so good when they have applied for these qualifications. So let me...
National speaking at US, national speaking,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so CSP, and the other one is called AS, Certified Speaking Professional, and the other one is accredited speaker. So these were the qualifications that came to my mind.
Thanks, Mohammed. And what is the name of the gentleman in Bahraini gentleman in Germany?
His name is Raed Jamil.
Raed Jamil. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he has videos on the internet, but he's very good. He's very good. We have a few more minutes. Let's make the best out of them. If you have questions, comments, queries, let's get them out of the way.
Yes, Mohammed, I have another question. So another important thing that I've not learned but been told is it's very important how you move and with your hands, the movements you sort of take in a public speaking. So one of the advices I was given before one presentation I did before was it's better not to have anything in your hand. So I mentioned I feel very comfortable, holding some document, even if I'm not using it, just holding it or something in my hands. I feel like I need something, but they said it's better not to have anything. So I didn't know in that presentation what I should do with my hands. I don't use them to explain much, but
yeah.
And another thing, also moving across the stage, is this something you should do? What if it distracts you? Should you stay in one place? What's your advice on this?
Okay, I'm sharing the other PDF file which answers many of the questions you had. This is not the latest version of the file, but let me say this. In terms of hands, make them move freely. The way you move them, regardless whether you're speaking on a stage or whether you're sitting with your friends. Some people are more animated than others, so just be natural. Don't. Did you see that I did this with my shoulders? That was natural. Yeah. So be natural, and yes, if this is the thing in your hand is not something relating to your speech or does not help in delivering your speech, it's let's say a car key, you wouldn't be holding your car key in your hand and speaking. Also, having a change in your pockets or keys, that's not advisable. So yes, in terms of movement on the stage, I always say move with a purpose. Does this movement help in conveying your message? If let's say I'm taking you back in time and I'm moving backward, that helps in my speech. But if I'm just moving like this and I'm breaking dance on the stage, that doesn't help. So you need to move with a purpose. You will find more tips on the ABCs of speaking relating to your question as well. Let's have one last question before we conclude. Who would like to have the last question?
If no one, I'm here. I have a lot.
Okay, let's see if we have, let's give a chance to the other attendees. If they don't have, I'll give you the last question, Iman. Do we have any questions, comments on public speaking? Mishkat, do you have a question?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, Iman, it's yours.
Thank you. What is the book you advise us to read to have, let me say, I know that the public speaking is not reading a book, but if we need, for example, to read an inspirational book.
Read this book, World Class Speaking in Action.
Okay.
Did you get the name? World Class Speaking in Action. This was an Amazon bestseller when we launched it in 2014.
Can you please send his chat, please?
Come again?
Can you please send by chat, please?
Yeah, sure. I can write it in the chat. World Class Speaking in Action. Yeah, there you have it. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for coming, and watch out for this space. I'll be having more of these sessions on different topics, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Mohammed.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.